When I was 21 years old, I was a senior in college. It was my last year on the soccer team, so I was a college athlete. I was pretty active, pretty busy, and then my mom had also passed away right before I went to school, so I was home every weekend that I possibly could, and I was calling my dad and my brother all the time, just checking in to make sure they're okay. So I definitely had a lot of responsibility on my shoulders when I was 21. We were just hanging out in our room before we had to go to practice, and I was kind of having a moment, and I was like thinking about my mom, and I had to do something to make myself laugh and then also make my roommates laugh. So I started leaping around my apartment, like trying to be a ballerina, but epically failing at it. And it was on one of those not so elegant leaps that I took in a really deep breath, and then something just happened. There was this weird feeling in my chest that I'd never experienced before. It felt like someone was squeezing my heart, and then it was being stabbed at the same time. And then all the other symptoms started after that. I could feel like the blood draining from my face. I got really lightheaded. My wrists were numb, and I was nauseous, and I was really hot. So at this point, it'd only been 6 weeks since my mom had passed. I had called my dad, and I was like, "Dad, I think I'm having an anxiety attack." I really didn't think anything major was going on. I just thought it'd been 6 weeks since my mom had passed, and I was in college, and I was stressed out with everything going on. My roommates thankfully brought me to an urgent care. The nurse had done an EKG on me, and she looked at me and she was like, "If I didn't know better, it says you're having a heart attack right now." I was like, okay, well, that's obviously not what's going on, so please figure out what's going on with me. And she's like, "No, you can't stay here, like, we have to take you in the ambulance." And then that's when reality hit, that like something is seriously wrong with me. Just thinking about like getting in an ambulance when that was the last time I saw my mom, it was really hard for me, and I didn't want to do it. Thankfully, because my dad was my emergency contact, the hospital called him. And I'll never forget the day that my dad walked through the emergency room doors. That look on his face. I mean, 6 weeks after losing my mom, we're going through the exact same situation almost with me and not knowing what's going on. When they did the heart cath, they found out I had a 90% blockage in my left circumflex coronary artery. Thankfully, because it was only 90% blocked, I was able to have medication that dissolved the clot. Currently, I'm just on medication just to control my blood pressure and help with any clotting factors that I have. Also, when I'm exercising, it's suggested that I keep my heart rate below 170 beats per minute. That was kind of a hard thing for me, trying to find that new normal, my new routine. Heart disease affects so many people. It's the #1 killer among women, and the craziest part is that 80% of heart disease is preventable. We talk about cancer all the time, but heart disease claims more lives than cancer does, and yet we're not talking about it as often. For women, it can kind of come off as being the flu. It's not just that stereotypical, I have a pain in my chest and my left arm is numb. If I would have had just those two symptoms, I would have been like, that's what's going on, but that's not the case. My big takeaway is to know your own body and to really pay attention to what's going on with you. I feel like knowing your family history also helps you be more aware of what's going on with your body and the possibilities of what could happen to you. The thing is everyone thinks it's not gonna happen to them until it does. I never thought I would lose my mom at such a young age. I never thought that I would be a heart attack survivor at the age of 21. I'm an American Heart Association Go Red Real Woman. It's just a really great way for me to share my story, meet amazing people. This platform has given me the ability to share my story and to affect other people and show that there's more after an event like this. Like after losing your mom or after having a heart attack, that you can be like a phoenix, and instead of sitting and crying and being in the ashes, that you can rise above and you can find the positive in life, and you can use what happened to you to help others.